So I have my little kissy boy. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the options for this DIY weave pole set. I will change the position again when we get into the DIY with the poles so that it's a little more where you can see what's going on instead of me. Haru's going to help as always. So as you can see just from this, these we're kind of going with the AKC Agility standard size, but you won't have to. And it's not like when we make this, they would ever use this in an actual competition, but if you are doing agility or wanting to do agility, at least you'll kind of have the distance between the poles and the height of the poles to kind of give you an idea. Again, we'll talk about modifying it. This is Christie's, so we are going to modify Christie's as well, because in agility there's 12 of these poles, and they're 24 inches, I think. Is that right? Haru's like, maybe I went off. They're 24 inches between each other, so that's a long ways. So as you can see right here, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 or so poles, and we would continue on that way. So we're going to actually end up, for Christy, dividing her set of 12 into poles of 4, so 3 sets, so that we can move it around. If you're going to put this outside in your yard and keep it in the yard, or keep it in the yard a lot of the time, then you wouldn't have to do it. We're also going to talk about, are we going to glue the pieces together to make sure that it's stable, or not? Because if it's not glued together, it does do a little wobble. You can also do more feet in between, so you can have the poles hold feet. But then when you have the poles with the feet down there, then that's going to affect the dog's weaving, because they're going to hit it with their feet. And there aren't feet like that, like the PVC poles in the real agility. They're more that flat metal, so they're not tripping it up. I could be wrong on that, because as you know, I don't compete. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start, and as always, as long as I don't screw anything up, this should stay in the group so that you can go back and watch it again. I will also be eventually editing it down and posting it on our Cavalier YouTube channel, and I will update the what do you call it, the shopping list for this, depending on how you want to do it. Same thing with the YouTube video. When it's on the YouTube, that will be shareable. It's not shareable in the group because it's a private group. When it's in the YouTube one, it will be shareable, and that will also have the ingredients. I'm cooking over here today. That'll also have the instructions, but what do I say? Shopping list. Shopping list, right, Haru? Okay, so first thing is, we are starting with our poles. So this is just PVC pipe that you can get at the hardware store. They come in 10-foot poles, and we are using 3/4 of an inch, I believe. I'm pretty sure these are 3/4 of an inch. Let's see. Yep, right, and it says so on the pole, and I'm looking. Yeah, these are 3/4 of an inch. You can do thicker if you want. I believe the standard is 3/4 of an inch to an inch. A long time ago when I started, poles were like $1.10 a piece. I shopped for Christy and they're like $4 a piece. So it's a little pricier than it used to be. And we're going to need, if we're going to do the setup like this and have all 12 poles, then you're going to end up needing 7 poles. So 7 10-foot poles. And then you're going to also want to have, I'm going to have to put you down, okay, Haru? He's like, no, you can just squeeze me around. Then you're going to want, whoops, oh, it's taped, the tape is there. If we're doing the 12 weave poles, you're going to want 12 caps. Now that is optional. If it's indoors, you don't have to put the caps on. But if you do outdoors, you're going to want to, and leave it outdoors, you're going to put the caps on so that rain doesn't get in it. It does just kind of finish it off as well, in case something, your dog's not going to jump that high, but 12 caps. Then Haru, get you over here. And then these are the T's. Let's see. Can you see it there? That's a T. So we're going to need, this is where one of our options come in. We're going to need, telling you where are the T's? 12 to 14 T's. Now, I did for Christy end up ordering these online since I needed so many of them. it came out a little cheaper for whatever reason to order them on Amazon, so I'll put links from there, or you can pick them up at your store. Sometimes they run short. Lowe's or Home Depot usually carry them. Sometimes Menards carry them as well. The other option is we can do 12 of these and then 2 4-ways. And a 4-way is when it's going to be like this but have one at the top. So the reason is because at the end of our poles we want to have legs. So we can do it with this. We're just going to add an extra one at the end, so another little gap, and again I'll show you, and then the legs. But if you decide to get the 4 connector one, then the end can just be 1. So it'll come out here and it'll hold your pole, and then it'll go like that. So it'll come out here, hold your pole and the legs, where this won't hold the pole and the legs. We have to do a second adaptation, which again I'll show you, and it'll make more sense as we go. The other thing that we need, we're gonna not glue it in the demonstration because I don't want to glue down here in her dining room, but we are going to end up, for Chrissy's, gluing all of her parts together, again in 3 sets, so that these poles don't knock over. So I'm going to have to put you down. Okay, can you see? I'm so handsome. Alright. Because when it's put together like that, it is wobbly. Rue's like, what? So if they're, especially if they're bigger and they're doing any kind of knocking, or you start getting 12 poles out and you're trying to stand it up, they're going to wobble and fall off. So we can glue all these bits and pieces together, and then that's going to give you some stability. And again, we'll talk about legs. If you end up doing it outside and kind of keeping it outside, then you can even get attachments that will go right into the ground and hold this down, or you can make something up, and that will even give it some more stability. When I had my training center, I actually put cement in the poles to weight it down too, so you can do that. But there are other things too, but we're just going to try to make it kind of simple. The other thing is a cutter, and they have various cutters. So we want to cut this PVC. It's just that, you don't want anything near that. You're going to be able to cut the PVC with this one, and I'll put the link in the description. Pretty easily. We got this, Christy got this one to do. We have a bigger thing going on downstairs, and it's, I think, 1.5 inches wide. And so this will, you ready? I'm sorry, Haru, here it comes. I don't want him to get nervous. So it'll go and do our 1.5 inch wide ones. And I, from a long time ago, had the old fashioned, you put it in and you screw it, and it just spins around and it cuts it and cuts it. And it was a killer. They work, but you start doing a bunch of pulls and it really is hard. You can also use a hand saw, which would be a killer if you're doing it a while, or you can use a little electric saw, which is a lot faster too. So I've done that with my stepdad. Okay, so yay, we have people on. So hi, don't forget you can post a comment or a question. I will come back in there. Okay, so, and again, I will put things down in the notes in the description. Dexter's looking at me thinking you said okay. All right, so for this one, for Christie's, we are doing 12 poles, 12 tall poles. So those are going to be 12 weaves. And these weaves are 40 inches in length, okay? So that is these, which I already cut. And these are dirty, by the way. So let's see where we're at. So here is one of our 40-inch poles. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to take your long 10-foot pole, and you take your tape measure, which I did not bring, and you put your little tape measure down here, all the way to the 40, and then you're going to mark it. And of course, I was making other notes, so hold on a second. And you're going to make one mark. So you're going to make your 40-inch mark. So we're going to just pretend that this is the tape measure. Make sure you guys can see. Yeah. All right. So we're pretend this is the. Where are you at, Haru? Let's move this. You take your tape measure. You'll come back down and you'll mark your 40 inches. And you're going to do your first cut. After your first cut, then we'll pretend that this was our first cut. Then I use this first cut pole for all my other measurements. Now, it's important to use the very first pole and not use then the next pole and then the next pole, because then you start to actually lose a little bit of length. So you always use your first pole as all your measurements. So then we would take this first pole after our first cut, and we would take it and we would make a mark and then cut. And then we would take this again to our next and make a mark and then cut. And so again, we're going for 12 poles. So I'm just going to demonstrate how this cutter is on the cutting. So, so I do start my little ratchet, and then that part of the blade, I'm going to end up wanting to touch that line. So as I'm ratcheting, and then I'm waiting, I'm going to try to keep it as straight as I can. And you know, again, with my strength from my whole spine issue, it's not always easy. So I feel it, it's touching it. So now you know it's starting to grab. So now I want to try to be as straight as possible. And I do want to hold this end so it doesn't go flying. Okay. And that was a pretty clean cut. Where are we? A pretty clean cut. I have to admit, they're not always that clean. Okay. And so again, you're going to end up getting 40. You're going to get 12 poles. Okay. So you're going to get your 12 poles going. The next one we need is the distance between the weaves. So the weaves are going to be 24 inches apart. So again, I did a lot of the cutting, and you would do the same thing. You would get your 24-inch distance, and I believe that comes out to 11 24 inches apart. So same thing, you're just going to measure that and get your little cuts. See, let's look at the boys. He's like, okay, well, the camera's coming. So when you're making your poles on the end, you're going to end up coming to an end. We're just going and going. And we want to have legs at the end. So what I was saying earlier is if you have a four-way, then you're not going to need this adapter because it's going to have another spout right here for your pole. So you can do that as your leg and then the pole coming up. We don't have the four-ways. So to get around that, we're just going to basically make a little addition to the end. So this is our last pole. You're going to take your T's. So we have our T's. Okay. So our T's are coming, see right there? That's the T. So that the pole's coming in this way, the pole's coming in this way, and then the weave is coming from the top. So we're going to go ahead and put our last, we're going to pretend this is the end. We're going to put our last pole in. And then we have, you can make the legs whatever you want. I made them 24 inches. So I have 24 inches here, 24 inches here, and I just made a 5-inch one there. So there's that T. So we're just going to push it down a little more, and there. And then we have our 40-inch pole, and all you're going to do is put that in the T, kind of push it down in there, and you're going to take your, where are we? Your end cap, and put it on the top. Okay. So here's our 40-inch pole, here's our T, and this is our 24-inch pole. And then our next T, 40-inch cap, 20. And you just do that all the way until you get your 12, if you're doing 12 poles. If you want to throw in extra legs for support over here, then what you're going to do is you're going to have to do a little bit of measurement. I believe this is like 3 inches. So you're going to end up, instead of having 24 inches of pole between them, you have like 21 inches. Because what you're going to do is you're going to have 21-inch pole, but you're going to cut it in half and throw in another, well then you would have to do a 4-way, because then you're going to have to put the legs and then, no, you don't have to. You could. So you could make this, that would probably be easier if you made this a 4-way, because then you can come up here and grab some legs. So if we had 4-ways throughout these, we'd be able to throw in more legs for more support. But remember, that means your dog's going to be tripping on them, and that's not ideal. So what we're going to do instead, again, not on the video, is we're going to take our PVC glue and we're going to take these apart and we're going to glue inside and attach. Glue inside and attach. And probably do all three, glue inside and attach. But the thing is, once that's glued, then it's glued. You're not moving it apart. So we're going to be taking ours and doing that into 3 sections so that we can still move them around. It's simple. I mean, it really is pretty simple and fun. If you're just goofing around, you know, it doesn't have to be, you don't even have to be, with these Cavaliers, 40 inches. If you're just doing it for fun and kind of goofing around with your Cavalier, just something to do, you know, cut it down, make it smaller. You know, make it a little easier to manipulate. I would still do the 24 inches between, because that gives them the movement that they kind of need to wrap around. And by the way, when they are doing weaves, the weave pole, when they start, so whenever they're left, right? I believe now I'm going to screw up, but every time they shoot into the weaves, the first weave always needs to be on their left, and then they weave in and weave in and weave in. So that's why when they're actually teaching weaves for real, they usually just do, they call it 2 by 2. So they're just teaching those first 2. So they're teaching the dog how to get in left, 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 so that becomes such a habit. That's all they want to do. So again, I'm going to go ahead and over the next couple of weeks work on this of Christie's to work on gluing it together and kind of seeing what happens. And I hate not being able to see you guys. Haru, come see me, Haru. So that's the basics. Pretty simple, pretty fun. Again, the biggest thing is trying to make them not fall down, although this is not being too bad. And the shorter it is, meaning not 12 poles, the more stable it's going to be. If you have other ideas on how to keep them up, you know, for those who have done agility and practice at home, let me know. I'm afraid to rub my head because of the blackness. Give me some ideas on some other better ways to keep them stable. I'll let you know how the gluing does for them. I can see it kind of wobbling right now. And as I've always talked about the health and safety of your dogs, Haru, hi puppy. You know, you're not practicing, you shouldn't be practicing on slick floors. You know, you want your dog to, well, you don't want them to run at the beginning because you want them to learn the right footwork at the beginning, but we want to keep this not slick under their foot. So grass, carpet, rubber matting, not slick floors, because they're going to hurt themselves. Remember, safety is always first. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you've done it. Post your videos below or the pictures even later or in the future in the groups. And let me know if, maybe I need to refresh my screen. Let me know if you have any suggestions on how to keep it stable so it's not too wobbly. And thanks for joining us this Easter Sunday, and I hope you guys are having fun. More videos coming soon too. We have some a lot of cooking videos going on right now. So have a good day. Alright, so there you have it with the 4 poles. So I left the feet separate so I can attach the 4 to make 8 or the 12. Let's give it a try with Haru. Ready? Okay. Okay, Haru. Yay! Good boy! Yay! So we're just going to play.